All right, guys. So we just had a conversation on co-parenting in blended families, and there was still so much to talk about. So this is the after show, the Queen's Lair, the after show. So we getting ready to go back into the conversation and finish up what we started. All right, check it out. All right, that was really, really good stuff, and it's so funny because my experience is similar yet so different when it comes to blended families. Because with me, we both had children we came in with, so we not only had to help them blend together as brothers because we both had boys, and then he also has a daughter, and that's a whole nother situation because her mom is not as amicable. And then you have your you didn't come in with any kids, and her previous marriage, he was no longer in the picture.
Right,
So
nowhere
it's
to be found at that time.
right,
So you actually would think my situation would be easier, and it was
right,
actually hard because you cannot no they don't need to know why it messed up. They don't need to know whatever trauma she went through to come through. But the only thing that they do know is that he's not here,
right,
and that's a hard thing to deal with as a child. I have problems with my dad, and he left us when I was 17 and left the
right.
family and left my mother, and that traumatized my whole last year 2 years of high school when I was going through. So
Yeah.
can you imagine someone going at that early age of those early ages, and that's their developmental idea, and then I
And
wish
they
I was
and they might
wise
think
then.
about what's wrong with them. Like, why did dad leave us? And why wasn't I good enough for him to stay or something? Did I do something wrong? And it's just such an interesting it's just an
And, it,
interesting
and,
take.
and and from my point of view, is nothing I could have did would make it better.
Right.
I could be the best person in the world, but at that time, and I was taking it personally. So it
Yeah.
because I was dealing with rejection issues and not being secure in my fatherhood state, and understanding because I was trying to figure marriage out while dealing with figuring being a blended father out. So in my mind, one of the things I would recommend is get rid of all expectations and
That's good.
relationship because I had expectations of the Brady Bunch. I really did have that Brady Bunch mentality that this is
Yeah.
gonna be good.
Like, we're
We're
gonna
gonna
make
have
this work. It's gonna
we'll
blend
make this
well.
work. It's gonna be blend fine. We're gonna be fine. I'm a good guy. Who don't like me? And
Right.
they didn't like me, so
Right.
I had to deal with that on so many different levels. And I'm younger and not wiser, and taking my time. I think, loving each other is different than trying to love unconditionally and then deal with that rejection. And now we're dealing with trauma. Now we're no longer able, the marriage is now toxic where everybody hates everybody. So,
Right.
that was, you know, that was not a good place to be. And it's still, I never blamed the kids, and we don't blame the kids because it's not their fault. It's the adults that have to make that
And
relationship
that's
work.
that's the key point that people need to understand, is that there's work that we as adults have to do. Before, during, and for the duration of it. We have work that we need to do, and it's so important that that line of communication is there, because if you don't have that and you don't develop that plan, it's going to always have some kind of backlash that's going to impact everybody. And I think that's one of the key takeaways for me in listening to your story, is recognizing that building that relationship with that child in the very beginning is important.
Oh yeah, and like I said, as a marriage as a whole, I, I had Fantasyland marriage, Fantasyland kids, Fantasyland. I was just in Fantasyland, so I nothing
Right.
that happened was real. So this is coming from the guy point of view. I had a certain view that family was going to be a certain way, and that's why I
Yeah.
said I went in with those expectations, and all my expectations in every single area was just totally blew up. But
Yeah.
take away those expectations and realize the work that you have to put in. And like I said, you know, my wife was like, even when it came to sports and learning what was trying to learn the kids, I hate sports. but I was coaching everything and I was showing up to the games, showing up thinking that I was okay. Then she was like, well, you don't pay attention when you're showing up. I was like, but I'm here,
Right.
like, and I'm there. So I took it to another level and had to learn sports. And I'm thinking I'm doing all the right things, yet this is still not working. What is
Yeah.
it? So it's realizing that Rome is not built in a day, and really understanding that what you're dealing with is not just what's in front of you, but you really do have to have a clear vision of what you are building. And I
Yeah.
think because we are building that relationship, as soon as you're married, you think the house is built. No, you are building the foundation. You're not
Yeah.
going to see the end of that house until they're 18 and they can come back and say, you know what, I really do appreciate you. And even if they never say that I appreciate you, you know that you were there. And you can
That you
say
did your
that
part.
I did my part. I wasn't the greatest, but I was human. And you have to
Yeah.
also give yourself, as that parent, that you're human, and that
Yeah.
in part of this human experience is that you're making mistakes. So don't let your failures condemn your future, because that's you'll get lost in this unyielding cycle. So the marriage is struggling. It doesn't mean that the marriage can't be resetted. And
Yeah.
that's the blessing of where we are right now, was we were able to reset the marriage, not relive the trauma. We were able to
Mm.
learn from the trauma and move forward, and we're stronger for it now. We got different problems that we're dealing with now, but we're
Right.
strong. We're
Right.
always going to have problems. We're going
It's
to
always
have
going to be
problems
something. Right.
in every area of your life, but being able to just go back and just reset. And I think that's important.
Yeah, that's really good. I really love that. And I love the not putting the expectations on, because, one thing that I found is the distance between reality and expectation is disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so it's like when you have these high standards of expectations and it doesn't meet the reality, you're just disappointing yourself. So take that expectation barrier out, and then you'll learn to make adjustments a little bit easier and a little bit better when things don't work out exactly how you were wanting them to. So, but thank you. This was good stuff. I appreciate it.
Last thing I would say is just making sure that you don't have to do this alone. One of the
Yeah.
things that I definitely say is eh, learning how to deal with children. And one part of my separation was we stayed with Elder Dave Rothwell, and he shared with me a lot of principles. But I had tribe, I had community, I had a village. Don't take that time that feel like you have to do it by yourself. Find a community, a mentor, find blended families that are succeeding. Because when you really talk to those succeeding blended families, you'll find out that they went through a lot of the trauma that you were going through too. On the outside, it looks pretty, but underneath is the dirt. And if someone's really going to share their life with you and be a good mentor, they're going to show you that, hey, we went through some trauma too, but this is how we handled it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.